Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Kaz and I'm a channeler and a healer. In today's video we're asking the question, how will my children work out? I have 3 different piles here. Now if you've got more than 3 children you may need to choose more than one pile. So we've got pile 1, pile 2 and pile 3. So the crystals will go in birth order. So if for instance you've got 2 children, if you pick a pile and then I pick up a crystal, the first one is your firstborn and the second one will be your secondborn. If you have more than 3 children, you will have to pick another pile as well, depending on how many children you have. So most people probably have less than 9 children in today's society. So I've only put 3 piles out here, but I guess if you need to choose more than 9, you can then choose random crystals for each child. Anyway, you can make a choice depending on how many children you've got. So if you've got 4 kids, you might like to choose one pile and then one crystal from another pile, just to make up the numbers. We're going to go forward, choose a pile or a crystal, and I'll see you at your reading. The timestamps will be in the description box or in the video chapters. See you there. Hi, pile 1. So just to recap, if you've got 1 child, just listen to the first crystal. If you've got 2 children, listen to the first and second, and if you've got 3 children, listen to all of them. And then if you've got more than 3, you will need to go to another pile to choose another crystal. Okay, so child 1, I'm just going to pick up the crystal and channel through it. Okay, this child is very, very brave. They may already show this depending on their age, but they're incredibly brave. And not just brave for themselves, they're brave for other people too. So they may go into careers where they help other people, but in a more physically challenging way. So they might be firefighters or they might be police officers. They may be rescue workers in some form or another, ambulance drivers. They could also work in risky careers, such as high-rise construction or race car driver is what I'm getting. There are a lot of young kids who want to be race car drivers. But it's going to be a bit of a riskier career. It might be one where they have to gamble a lot as well. So maybe it is market focused where they have to make considered risks as well. But they are quite brave and they do step forward when no one else will. So it's to be commended and it's part of their nature. So it's trying to keep this child safe might be a little bit of a problem. They're not silly as far as risks go, but they do push the boundaries a little bit. You may have already found that. I mean, if they're under 1, you might not have seen this behaviour as yet, but you will definitely in the future. This is the child who likes to explore. They like to be fully immersed in their surroundings. So child locks are essential for this child when they're very young, because they will be into everything. Really having a look at what's what and how things work. You might also find that maybe they're engineers or something like that, to do with mechanics. They might be mechanical, but the way they will turn out is to do with being brave. They might also be in a situation of leadership as well. So no matter what area they go into, they will be a leader because they're brave and they can step forward when other people won't. And they will stand up for other people. So they might even find themselves in a situation in adult life where they're a whistleblower because there's an injustice that needs to be sorted out. Very brave child. Child number 2, oh, this is a very soft soul. This child is very, very soft in their energy. So they love nature, they love animals. They have a purpose in life that's humanitarian. So it's more of a slower energy than that first child. They might not be as fast-paced, but they're considered. So they consider things. They consider other people, they consider other energies, they consider the planet, they consider animals. So really they're looking at a life probably of service where they help other people. It may not be mainstream, it may be in quite a different way. And I'm getting a vision of, I've forgotten the name of the ship where they used to go, Greenpeace. I'm getting that. The Rainbow Warrior. I couldn't quite get it, but it's, that sort of dedication where they are risking themselves, but in a gentler way than Crystal One was, or Child One was, and very, very gentle aspect to them. But they will stand up for injustice as well. So I feel like this group can't be pushed into things. They will consider and make up their own mind about things. So as their parent, you just have to allow them space to develop the way they want to develop. You may need to put a few boundaries in with deadlines, especially because these children are a little bit flowy and just move with energy really, really well. But it does mean that they have no sense of urgency with everything. So you may, if you haven't already, have to teach them when they need things done by. But they need to have that done in a very gentle way. These children are very visual as well. So picture stories and pictures of a clock rather than a clock itself, or something like that, where they can put it towards their own concept of what they need to do. So you might just do a picture of a sunrise and that's when they get out of bed, or a sunset, they go to bed. They work very well that way. They also work well if they're older with you making videos for them. So let's just say you want to teach them how to tie their shoes. And this child will need repetition of a visual aid, such as a video, with you explaining each step of how to tie their shoes. Or they may need to watch you do it a number of times before they get it. They get there, but it's a much slower energy than Child One. Very gentle, loving soul. Child 3, if you've got 3, if you haven't, you can turn off the video now. Child 3 is a boisterous energy, very, very gung-ho. They've got goals and they're here to reach those goals. This energy is really interesting. They're actually very, very wise, but they're singular focused. So I feel like these children have lived many, many lives, and they've come in with a lot of knowledge that is sitting just below the surface that you or I may not have access to, but they do. As children, they might come out with really interesting stuff that you think, where the heck did that come from? Because they are channeling some of this energy, but they're here for a mission, and they are going to complete that mission no matter what. No matter what. So you will see this displayed as young children where they're singularly focused on something. Their birth date might add up to a number 1 as well, because they're on a single path here and they're just working towards that. Now, these children might have a lot of different careers in their life, or they might learn something really, really well and then need the challenge of learning something new, and then need the challenge of learning something new again. So they may not stick to one career, but they may chop and change, but it's because they get to expert level really quickly, and so things aren't challenging for them. So they want a new challenge, and off they will go, and they'll learn a new challenge then. Yeah, very dynamic energy. They might have a lot of energy and need to really run off the excess. You might just need to take them to a park and let them run wild, just to get them into a place where they're able to listen to you, because it may be that if they're not working towards a goal, they've got excess energy that needs to be burnt up. Very determined though. There we have group 1. We'll move on to the next group now. If you have more than 3 children, you'll need to listen to one of the other groups or all of the other groups. See you there. Group 2, welcome to your reading. Just to reiterate, the first crystal I pick up is going to be your firstborn, the second one's your secondborn, and the third one's your thirdborn. If you've got more than 3 children, you will need to go to another pile and start again. So your fourthborn would then be from another pile. Okay, let's choose child 1 here. Oh, okay, I'm getting the term stick in the mud. So this may be a child that doesn't want to move forward fast. They may want to take things quite slowly and at their own pace. They're a little bit of a plodder in life, but it's not a negative thing. It's like they need to assimilate things and they need to learn things before they move on and learn the next thing. So they're very grounded. They're not a scattered energy. They're really conscious of doing a good job and doing it right the first time. So you may have to work with a little bit of perfectionism here and also nurture their steadiness as well. We do live in a fast-paced world and other people might get a little bit frustrated with them. So you just got to tell them it's okay, work at your own pace. Not everyone is the same. We're all different. And that's just the positive reinforcement that this child here needs. They do come out on top in most things, and it's because they are dedicated and they want to do things correctly. They'll make very good employees when the time comes, because they are very dedicated to whoever employs them. If they have their own business, they get very dedicated to their own business. They might have a little tendency to overwork, so you might have to put some boundaries in as they get older and start bringing homework home and things like that, where you say, you know, you've got a certain amount of hours each night that you're doing homework and then you're shutting it down, because they do like to really focus on something and get it right the first time. And that's their nature. So there's nothing to be worried about. It's more about trying to manage their expectations of the world and the world's expectations of them. That's where they might be challenged in life. But otherwise, a great employee. Child 2. Oh gosh, restlessness is what I'm getting with this child. This child cannot sit still. They have a lot of excess energy. They need to burn it off on a regular basis. It's almost like before school you need to take them on a run. After school you need to take them on a run. They have a lot of energy, but in the future this is going to be used in a really positive way. They might use their body in their career, so they might be an athlete. They might be in a really fast-paced, energetic type career where they need to be on their feet all the time and moving constantly, but also they've got a very fast-tracked mind, so they process and compute things very quickly. So you will have to nurture this child sometimes to slow down because they can get a little bit ungrounded. And they may miss things. This child is very much big picture. They're not small details. So some effort might be needed to be put into the small details of life, around contracts, around signing things, around not being so impulsive with big financial decisions, that sort of thing. So this is not negative, it's just cautionary advice for you as a parent to instill those behaviours for this child. And they are a real go-getter, so they will go after what they want and they will achieve it because they're incredibly determined. Child 3, I'm getting is a looker. So this child may be very beautiful or very handsome or very pretty, and they may get a lot of attention because of that. And Spirit's saying instilling good boundaries is really important here, because others might take advantage of them later in life by giving them lots of compliments, they can be manipulated a little bit. So, and on the flip side of the coin is that they can be manipulative because of their looks. So, what Spirit is saying here, just give them good, grounded beliefs about themselves in the world. So value them not just for looking good, but also for doing the best for humanity and the planet at large. You may need to be a little bit protective of this child because they might get a little bit of unwanted attention from sources that perhaps you aren't that comfortable with. And also they might get, I don't want to use the word bullied, they might get targeted because they are very attractive, and some people will be jealous of that, particularly children of the same sex. So just keep your eyes out for that as well. Thank you, group 2. I will move on to the next group. If you've got a 4th child or more than 4 children, go to the next list. Group 3, welcome to your reading. Just to recap, the first crystal I choose is your firstborn, the second one's your secondborn, the third is your thirdborn. If you have more than 3 children, you'll have to pick a crystal from another pile, or more crystals from different piles. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, this child wants freedom. This is your firstborn, and they just want to be free. They want to be free of rules and restrictions, and they want to fly free. They may be a really free spirit in the fact that they don't conform to society and they don't like rules and regulations. So when they're teenagers, there might be a bit of pushing of boundaries, particularly in respect to what's legal and what's not, and you may just have to keep a bit of an eye on this. It doesn't mean for everyone it's going to go to extremes. It just means that they just might be testing their boundaries, particularly when they're sort of tweens and teens, because they do like to be free and they are very questioning of society. So where did these rules come from? How did they form? What did they do for me? Is it a form of control, or is it giving me my freedom? That's the sense of perspective from this child, is how am I going to be free in this situation to explore what I want to explore? So it's a very individualised sense of the world, and they will forge their own path. They might even live an alternative type lifestyle. They don't feel that they fit in with society and a society at large, which doesn't mean they're going to be criminals. It just means that they might be alternative. They might like to live on the land. They might like sustainable living. They might like to live in somewhere unusual. They might like to live in a country far away from yours. So for them, it's about how they fit in to the environment they're in. So they might feel a little bit like a fish out of water, and they may have felt like that their whole life. And that's okay. They just need to find their crew, basically. It doesn't mean that they're not loving. It doesn't mean that they don't love you as parents. It just means that they have a different path to follow than yours. And that's okay, because that's their path. And when they're adults, that's what they can choose. They might be quite a fresh thinker as well, and might come with very abstract ideas or ideas out of left field, which is quite different to the way other people think. And again, they're incredibly smart and tuned in, but just different thinkers. So when it comes to schooling, they might need different ideas to be able to learn. They might not fit into the normal type of schooling that is in your area. You might have to look at Montessori or Reggio Emilio or something else that is a learning system that they fit better into. Child 2 is very adventurous. These are the ones that want to sail across the seas. They might be very, very imaginative as well and make up a lot of stories. This child is very, very enlightened and is almost not even walking on the earth. They are really a magical being. They've almost got fairy-like energy where they tread lightly upon the earth and maybe live in a very mystical realm. They're still able to see beyond the veil and still able to connect with beings of really high light. So you may find concentration a bit of an issue for this child, or realistic expectations of the world, because they're living in a magical world. This is going to serve them very well later in life. They may be writers, they may be poets, they may be musicians. Whatever they bring through, it's not of this realm. It's either ancient knowledge, or it's alien knowledge, or it's healing frequencies. There's something about them that's very, very mystical. Very, very mystical. They've chosen to keep a lot of their memory of other lives and between lives and other planets and other incarnations that are totally different to human. So they might come out with some really bizarre stuff, particularly when they're under 7, because they don't filter it at that age. They will just come out and say, I remember when I lived in a place that had green sky and pink oceans. You know, it might be something really, really bizarre to us as humans, but makes total sense to them. They are going to forge a career that is very creative though, so really encourage their creativity because it is coming from a higher source. They may also go into like tarot reading or channeling or something else along those lines. They're not going to fit into a 9-to-5 job. They're far beyond that, way, way beyond that. That type of regular, structured form is not for them. They don't want those boundaries. They may be Piscean or have a lot of other water signs in their chart. Very special beings though, but may find the earth plane a very harsh place. Child 3 is your observer. This is a child that likes to watch everything that's going on around them. They learn through osmosis, more or less. They feel things, they observe things. They may be the child that sits back and watches what's going on without actually getting involved because they don't have to. They learn, they're not kinesthetic learners. They don't have to get their hands on to learn. They're about observing, but it's more than just visual. It's sentient. They're feeling beings. So you might say, come over here and learn how to tie your shoelaces, and you want their hands on it. But all they have to really do is observe a few people doing it, or to feel how easy people find things for them to just be able to pick it up. So it's quite a different way of learning, which means that when they go to school, they might do better in a group type session where things are done through visual means only, rather than critical thinking, because it's almost like they need to observe. So these kids are very good with details, and they might walk into the room and say, why did you move that from there to there, when all the other kids haven't even noticed. They're very detail orientated, and they would be very good with things like legal documents, very good as someone who needs to observe, like a scientist or a detective. Those sorts of careers would be very, very good for them. And they will come into their own, but it might take them to their late 20s before they get into that niche that really, really suits them. And again, it doesn't have to be a traditional career. It can be something that still hasn't been invented yet in society as we know it, or it's in its infancy. They might be really good at tech or something that requires intricacies and observation and feeling of energy around it. So like a new age tech type thing, they might be into that sort of stuff. So this child just needs to be nurtured in a different way, because if this is your third child, they're not going to learn the same way as either of the other two. So you, as a parent, will have to be adaptive to how they learn things. But at the end of the day, they're quite peaceful and happy. So even though people will look at them and think, oh, that poor child is being left out of all the fun and games, they're perfectly happy. They don't need to join in. They can feel that energy. They don't have to get immersed or enmeshed in that energy. They still like to engage with others. They're not going to be a social outcast. It's just that they're the observers. They're going to stand back and watch others do stuff, and then they might join in. And it's not about safety, it's more about, how do you do this? How does this work? I haven't seen this before. Let me see what's going on. So that's their perspective in life. And it's actually quite charming. It's a lovely energy, actually. This child's going to exude a lot of really positive, lovely energy. Okay, group 3, there we are for your children. If you have other children, more children, you can go to another pile and pick another crystal from either of the other piles, or another couple, depending on how many children you have. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.